we're recording. So welcome everyone. That's the September Frictionless Monthly Community Call. As you probably all have seen, today, after a very long break, mostly because of my fault going on holiday, we're having this call, and Evgeny will present the Frictionless Application Open Data Editor, on which he and Sassi have been working a lot on. So Evgeny will give us a presentation and a short demo, and then Sassi is also here to answer any questions that you might have after that. So as usual, I suggest that we do a quick round of presentations just to, we, I think, more or less all know each other, but it's always good to remind. And then I suggest that Evgeny can go last so that he can directly jump into the presentation after. Presentation and demo should last around 20-25 minutes. And then after that, we will have time for questions, discussions. And if there's anything also that you would like to bring up to the community, that's the right time to do it. So yeah, I will start with the presentations. I'm Sara Petti. As you all know, I'm the Frictionless Data Community Manager, and I'm based in Bologna, Italy. The heat wave has finally gone away after months and months, so it's starting to get a bit chilly, but not so much. I'm still in short sleeves, so that's good. So yeah, that's me. What about you, Dan?
I'm Dan Fader. I'm in Philadelphia. I'm a developer for a company called Civic Actions. I work with the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services on open data projects, and I help maintain the DCAN open data module for Drupal. I'll pass to Oleg.
Sure. Hi, I'm a data engineer and increasingly teacher working on data literacy programs in Switzerland. I'm a member of the Swiss Open Knowledge chapter since many years, working with frictionless data, developing DripDat hackathon platform, which is quite widely used around here, and which features data package visualization and that kind of thing. And I also teach using frictionless data in the classroom, which is quite fun. And I'll pass it over to Jonathan, who's just next to me.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Mitchell. I live in Washington State in the US. I work for a company called Innovi Health. And not much else to say. How about you, Keith?
Hey, I'm Keith Hewitt. I'm a postdoc at NIH and generally interested in open data and kind of furthering the cause in any way I can help. All right, Shashi?
Hi, I'm Sassi. I'm from Nepal, and I currently work as a developer in Open Knowledge Foundation. I pass to Mike.
Hi everyone, I'm Mike Trisman. I'm a data scientist with the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. And also increasingly a lot more internal teaching too. Evgeny, have you got?
Yeah, hi. Are we all done, Sarah?
We're still missing Joanna and Hector, I think. So maybe they can go
so
first.
Probably,
And then
I'll pass to Joanna.
Yeah.
Okay, hi, my name is Joanna, and I work at the Ethiopian as Marketing and Business Development Manager. I'm also contributing marketing manager for CCAN project. Generally, I'm interested in open data, passionate about data management, and I can't wait to hear more about this new tool that you're about to present.
Thanks, Joanna, so much. Hector, would you like to introduce yourself? Although, yeah.
Yes, a little bit. Hector Monge from the University of Dodoma in Tanzania. I'm instructor there, and I teach open data for business analytics. And I've been following these frictionless discussions, and I'm interested actually to know more about it. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Hector, and welcome here. Evgeny, now it's your turn, and you can directly go with the presentation as well.
Thank you. Yeah, nice to see you all here. And yeah, I'm Evgeny. I'm in Portugal, and yeah, I'm a tech lead of Frictionless Data. And as Sarah mentioned, our team been, really busy working on this new application. Previously, it was called Frictionless application, but we ended up calling it Open Data Editor because it's less confusion and I think easier to understand for non-technical people. So thanks, Dan. So let me share this presentation. Today we're doing kind of like a soft launch for the inner circle of our community contributors, and I think next Monday we will broadcast the release. So it also means that we have a few days, to fix some really, really bad bugs if you, can help us test it a little bit. So let me share my screen. Okay, can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so
Evgeny, you muted yourself, so we can't hear you anymore.
yeah, sorry. We're presenting today Open Data Editor, previously Frictionless application, and it's a no-code application, like for working with different types of data. And it's based on the data package standard and other standards like Vegalite and use special standards like Topo.json, etc. But the core is data package for metadata, and also lately we added support for generative AI, which is which has like a lot of nice features and applications for the Open Data Editor. So I'm going to show it today. Yeah, so first of all, I'm going to share our concept note for the Open Data Editor. So can you see the slides?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we've been working on this project for like more than a year, and we kind of like we're adjusting the goals of the project step by step, and currently after a lot of like conversations and feedback from different group of people, we kind of like thinking about focusing on making data accessible for everyone. For example, as Oleg mentioned, teaching like data literacy and helping like small organizations like GLAM communities and others to start doing some proper data management, even though sometimes those people don't have any resources for it, like in a small municipality or in a library. So currently we're focusing on helping those people to start cleaning data, validating data, publishing data. Initially, I think we were thinking more about creating a tool for like engineers, like data pipeline or something, but there are so many good tools there, especially in Python for this that if we kind of like support it, we might be trying to be just a kind of like a wrapper for some tool, maybe DBT or something, but we don't want, you know, to recreate a view, and we want to focus currently on this goal, making like data management for humans available. So yeah, open knowledge, we are. So probably you know that's a global organization, and we will be meeting our anniversary like next year. It will be like 20 years already. And open knowledge, CCAN was born, open definitions, and other projects like data package. So our mission is trying to build a free and sustainable open infrastructure like for future. So the problem that there is still like no tool to easily work with data, and there are really good software like OpenRefine or Dataset by Simon Wilson and others, but we found that still, you know, it might be too techy, like for technical people, or not like user friendly, and that's the problem we'd like to solve with Open Data Editor, or at least starting to solve. So that's Open Data Editor. It's a tool that won't require basically any technical skills to do basic data management, including data exploration, validation, like description, publishing, etc. So let me show main features. And of course, as we work with data, for us, the main data type is tabular data. So of course, Open Data Editor focuses on tabular data. So in the application, you can explore it, open like, or upload different kind of CSV Excel files. It can open like really big ones because it uses database under the hood, similarly to CCAN. You can validate, see the errors, and as it based on data package, you can edit metadata. So I think a few months ago we had a really interesting session on a community call about really weird CSV published by German municipalities. So that's where, for example, metadata editing can help. So if you have a CSV, no other software can open, like playing with metadata, CSV dialect, for example, here can help to open this file, and also to declare these rules of opening. Then you can share, for example, these rules as metadata with your colleagues, and it will work for everyone, making data interoperable. So, but Open Data Editor, not on, sorry, but yes, as mentioned, we added AI support. So as here you can see, you can now use the create button to use AI to generate, for example, CSVs for you, but I'll show it later. But the Open Data Editor, not only about tabular data, you can create visualizations here using Vegalite notation. It has a form-based editor for the charts, but also with AI support, it can you can create charts without doing any kind of like without knowing anything about Vega specification or without digging into these forms, because visualization, I don't know, probably many of you tried a lot of visualization tools, and it's always hard. Even like the simplest bar chart, it's always, you know, you open Apache superset and you need like 10 minutes to understand how to create the simplest chart, even though it's kind of a really friendly app. So, but also I'll show later how we can use AI here. Open Data Editor also supports maps based on GeoJSON and TopJSON specifications. So you can just open it or again generate arbitrarily files. So why it's important? Because I think in tools like OpenRefine, you can do a lot of things with as Augusto said on CSVConf, it's a nice cat. It's nice, still nice, right? So OpenRefine, great tool, but I think it's like really limited and focused on tabular data. But in reality, like if you check basically like any CCAN published data set, it's not only like CSV tables, it comes with like readmes, some markdown images, other documents. So to be able to handle like all the use cases for data management, we of course need to be able to handle a lot of data types. And in Open Data Editor, like for like images, it's only like you can see the like open the image and add the metadata, but then you can add it to data package and publish it as a part of data set. So yeah, I think also really nice feature of Open Data Editor is data storytelling. So you can use Markdown, but you can also embed your files from your project, images, charts, maps, and we currently are thinking about a simple way to publish data stories on a platform like PubPub or something like this. And of course, datasets. We're talking about like classical data publishing. It will probably include CCAN or Zenodo or something like this. So in Open Data Editor, you just prepare your data, you create a data package, add files there, add some metadata, and you can publish to, for example, CCAN from the Open Data Editor directly. So we can think about this application as a CCAN or Zenodo UI, just making it easier to work on the data sets there. Okay, so yeah, as we think we can solve the problem of data tools not being, accessible for everyone, and Open Knowledge been working on this front really like hard lately on Open Data Editor and on other projects. And so what we are now today, next week, we're releasing Open Data Editor version 1. So this version is a so-called for early adopters. So it will be great to get this round of testing feedback ideas from first users and first people using the application. And we will be looking for funding opportunities. And if you know something, you just let us know, especially with a lot of new opportunities for AI-related software. So we would like to work on the version 1 or version 2 of the application based on the feedback because I guess we need to still cover a lot of edge cases currently not covered, and we also really into the idea of creating Wikidata integration to make it easier to publish data to Wikidata. So it was a short concept note presentation. I think I'll do a quick demo. Hope it works. Okay, so here is our new Open Data Editor website, and we just finished working on the documentation. Currently, it covers how to install the application and how to work with different data types. It's quite comprehensive already. So, but here you can also found your operational system, and there is instruction how to get started. So I'm going to the GitHub, to the releases, and as a Linux Ubuntu user, I need to download one of the Linux distributions. So I did it before, and I just run it as a normal application, like like Zoom. So to start, you don't need to run any command line or install Python. It's everything is bundled inside the application. So as I already showed the interface. So again, I think it will take like way more time than we have to show everything, and I think we'll be creating video tutorials later and going on. So just again, we can open tables, we can find errors there, see reports and images, maps, like data packages. So you can add metadata there, but I think it would make sense to use this like around 5 minutes left for the presentation to show some like interesting stuff. We can use AI, and on the documentation side, there is instruction how to add your OpenAI API key to start using AI. So let's do it. I have already added my API key here, and for example, we can ask AI to create some data. For example, I'm asking to create a CSV about women football, and actually I think it as based on how generative AI works, it will work on any language. So I didn't try yet, but you can try on your own language asking questions like this. So here we go. Because just a few months ago I realized that there is a superstar woman football player called Marta. My colleague shared that she's a kind of like a real fan of Marta, and I started digging. So this Marta has 6 golden balls, which kind of like amazing achievement in football. At least I'm not sure if any like men players have something like this. So we created this CSV just using AI, and we can ask ask AI to create bar chart, for example, for all the files here have a unique identifier. So I should have named this like, you know, Marta CSV, but it's table one. Okay, so we use mention bar chart for table one. I think it's enough to create some visualization. Yeah, and we can, if it has a quite comprehensive Vegalite form editor, so we can use the form here to customize our chart. But okay, wait, lazy. So we just ask AI to order bars by amount of golden balls and add tooltips. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it takes more time. Sometimes it takes less time, but it's normal to wait like 10, 20 seconds. Also, I don't like the color. But usually it's if you ask to like create a map having like all the capitals on the word, it will take like a lot of time. Probably it just fail. But we can try a simpler, like create a map with London and Paris. Good. It seems to be cloudy, so the tooltip is not, doesn't look good. Yeah, it seems to be back. So for example, here we already got like a chart, for example, and a map. And what we can do, we can start writing a story. Again, in a normal circumstances here, normal situation, you will just write it, but we have a time limit, so we ask AI to do so. We ask to write a story of this Marta football player. It's taking longer because it's an article. So as generative AI works, it needs to, you know, write every word after each other, so it takes more time. And okay, the font is broken, but we can fix it. Let's draw it. We will just ask, you know, to draw Marta for us. Oh, nice. I don't know what title means. So what we're getting now, we got like a lot of different files, and we're writing article. Normally it will be kind of like a data story, so we can start like connect everything together. It's image one. Adding image one, then we can like add the map we created. We can add our chart about golden balls. So that's here I showed like a fun part, how you can create data stories, but of course Open Data Editor just suffers a lot of more boring stuff, just exporting tables, finding errors, packing data as data sets, and for example like publishing to CKN, etc. We will be working on, I think, video tutorials for this. Okay, I think that's it for now. Let me stop sharing.
Thanks so much, Evgeny. That was great.
Thank you.
Really cool. Nice work.
Do we have any questions for Evgeny? And Sassi is also here, so she can answer maybe some of the questions as well. Yeah.
Yeah, really awesome looking. What are you using, out of curiosity, to do the generative plots?
Sorry?
What are you using for the generative plotting?
I mean for generative AI?
Like to make the bar chart and things like that. Is there a library just aimed at visualizations that you're working with, or is this all just through OpenAI as well?
Yeah, so we ask OpenAI to generate Vega Lite visualization. So yes, as I said, it's we try to be basing on the open standards, and for visualization, I think it's historically data package related projects tied to Vega Lite, which is, I think, really great notation for charts.
Okay, really cool. And I just pulled up the repo now, but are you using something like Electron to package the web app for the desktop?
Yeah. So technically, it's on the website in the contribution section, like high level overview. But technically, it's we use server client architecture. We use extensively Frictionless for all the data processing. On top, it's a React application, and everything is wrapped as an Electron application for desktop. But in general, it's a really thin wrapper. So basically, it doesn't rely on Electron almost on any level, except for just creating window and opening a folder on your computer. Yeah, so the big change, like for users from the CCCon, that currently you can just use. Let me share for a second.
Yeah, it looks really polished. You did a nice work with the UI.
Thank you. Yeah, so currently, as a normal editor, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can just use your computer to as a source of data. So you can, of course, like upload, etc. But it's a normal IDE basically. I didn't show it, but yeah, I think it's important. So it's now that's the main part when Electron helps to integrate.
Yeah, it's something I've always explored in the past, but never actually tried to use. And obviously Electron, like, people kind of have mixed feelings about. So but this one looks really good. So yeah, great.
Okay, so we have a question from Dan, then there is a question in the chat from Mike, and then it's for you, Oleg.
Had 4 different questions come up. Trying to remember which one to go first. I guess, could you say, okay, well, one question is, have you looked into kind of how well it deals with like larger data sets? Like, is there kind of a largest recommended CSV that you would want to be kind of loading into the application?
Technically, it will work for any, because it does streaming into a database, SQLite database under the hood. But I think currently it's still better to keep it on, reasonably sized data, because Frictionless Spy historically uses its own data processing that can be like really slow on, for example, dates, and it can just will show you this indexing for for 10 minutes. You're thinking of maybe on the next stage of for the whole ecosystem, working on a very fast implementation of subset of Frictionless based on for example, powers or something like this, data frame based thing. But currently it will work, but it will be slow on some data sets, especially big one and with date times, for example.
So it is putting stuff into the SQLite, but it's kind of pulling it out and putting it into a data frame to do any processing. It doesn't use any like native SQL processing for that's maybe too in the weeds. We can follow up later on that maybe.
Yeah,
Never mind.
currently, but yes, still no. Yeah, I'll try to answer. So yeah, currently it just use Frictionless Spy to index, as we call it, index data into the database, but we might just use like powers-based, pandas-based indexer, because it extensively uses Frictionless Spy, but only like for one operation, to put data in put data into a database and validate it. So you can think about optimizing this. And also I didn't mention it, but regarding the way it works with metadata and internal data, let me share. So the Open Data Editor, that's the project we worked on, creates this folder Open Data Editor, and it is, I mean, that's basically just directly answering Dan's question. It had this SQLite database, but also it had a metadata file, which is intended to be shareable on GitHub, for example, if you have a collaborative project on GitHub. So the idea that all the metadata can be shared with a team, for example. So it's fully reproducible. So you can start. So if I commit this folder to GitHub, like my colleague can start like having already all the metadata that I added to the like the cat image. That's regarding collaborative features, because it's totally like single user application, obviously, and because it's a desktop one, but it's a collaborative, for example, using Git.
Okay, thanks, Dan, for the question. We have one question in the chat from Mike that says, if Evgeny, you can maybe demo a little bit more the more sort of like basic frictionless functionalities of the application, because it says that OpenAI is basically blocked by its work, so you won't be able to use the AI component. And maybe I'll put together also the question that Augusto asked about, is it possible to use a locally hosted generative AI like Pilot or LAM?
Yeah, regarding alternatives, yeah, I think it's obviously as open knowledge, we'd like to use some like free and open alternatives. So ChatGPT was a kind of like a first try on this, and I think it works really well because we have a kind of like limited set of standards like table schema, Vegalite, JSON schema, etc., etc. So AI is really good working on stuff like this because it's well-known standards, and it would be great just to add, alternatives, and including like Agus to mention ones. So we will definitely be looking into something like this. And of course, contributions are welcome because AI integration is like really kind of simple. It's when it's a kind of like prompt-based AI, everything we need to change. It's a way we ask questions, so we can connect like other kind of AI. So we call it AI provider. So it's totally, flat as kind of like different providers going forward. But currently ChatGPT is really good. But I'm pretty sure in 2 years it will be like many of them, including like free and open, working the same good. Yeah. So regarding basic functionality, I think we don't have enough time for it, but we're working on the documentation, and let me share. We got, I think, really already nice documentation, mostly written by Sasi, who's also on the call. So it covers like all the basic functionality and having AI stuff only like as extras. I shared in the chat.
Good. Thanks, Evgeny. Oleg, I think you had a question as well.
Yeah, it's not so much a question as a comment. I've been following this project's development as closely as I can. I'm really very excited about, as you know, just user-friendly tools, and I respect the fact that we want as open knowledge to have something really accessible and usable that we can give to users. Just going back a few years when we had a lot of fuss, and Joanna, you might remember this, around Data Hub, and there was a promise of a desktop client. I think it was a Mac-only desktop client that made it very easy to publish data packages on Data Hub. And since then, it's just there's not been much progress, and we're kind of gotten stuck. But I am at the same time a bit concerned about the fact that you're developing a client-server architecture, quite a complex and in a way kind of monolithic application here. I'm noticed also in the change from Frictionless application to Open Data Editor, a bit of a marketing strategy. To me, this seems like it has a lot of promise. I kind of see this maybe spinning out and becoming kind of a CCAN-like project on its own basis if it has really traction with users and it becomes really a product people can use. I'd love to know what your thoughts are about shared sense of ownership. I respect so much that you've been doing so much work here. How can we get involved into this project besides just GitHub issues and commits? Do you see us developing extensions, plugins, white branding? What are the possibilities for the community here to really make this more than just yet another data startup product?
It's really, I think, good, important question. Yeah, regarding currently, we changed the name to Open Data Editor, and currently it's positioned as open knowledge, this project, mostly because of the honestly saying, like, funding, because this project was almost fully funded by Open Knowledge Foundation to the date. So of course, I think it will not be possible to have a successful projects such big under the one organization. So it's totally something we, really wanted to empower the collaborative way of the project. And currently, we really super happy to finish this release, because it took a lot of time, and it wasn't easy, and yeah, just not for that, for this call. And now having this finished, we'll just sit and think how to continue. As mentioned in the concept note, we'll be looking for funding, and of course it will be great if we can think about how to make it also community driven, to more than like, for example, Frictionless Spy was. But yeah, it's a totally kind of like an open question. We're really happy to any collaboration, etc. But yeah, we need to think about it.
Well, maybe just to reinforce my point, and because you remember, I also presented a Falcon-based data package API project about a year ago on one of these calls, and now I see you're using Fast API to generate a quick bootstrap around the models in the application. I just would be in favor of kind of like making sure from the beginning people can build their own front ends easily using a consistent and really standards-focused API. And just encouraging things like web integrations, so people can build a quick website widget out of their Vega chart powered by the open data editor in the backend. That kind of stuff would, that's what made WordPress and other open source projects really powerful, giving people a chance to build on top of them early. We have so much experience here, and I think we don't need to go full distributed with IPFS and so on, but it would be really nice to think also about distributed computing models, like open data is a huge enabler of collaboration across different domains, like Hadoop ecosystem and CSV and so on, right? So I think there's a lot of great ways we could also technically evolve in what you're doing, and I'd love to see the energy here. Again, really appreciate the effort. Thank you.
Yeah, and yeah, thank you. And yeah, sorry, regarding plugins. So currently, as it's a wrapper server side of Friction Spy, we can use any plugin written for Friction Spy. It's not enabled for now, for example, for Parquet, etc., just because of the stage of the project. But it's pluggable server side, not yet on the client. And as you mentioned, Oleg, yeah, it's I wish. We had we didn't have this server client thing with Python and JavaScript, but we have so many already stuff written in Python that it's really just it's basically impossible to use something else. And for UI, it's the quickest and the most, basically the best way currently to use like React or something like this. But it's totally needs to be pluggable. Yeah, I think on both ends, including UI.
I think we have time just for one last question. Dan and Joanna both asked about, again, if you can maybe say more about using the Open Data Editor as a SICAN UI, and can you use like the stories that you generated, like the one that you just demoed, for example, could you use that in SICAN as well?
It's a good question. We can publish like anything we work on inside Open Data Editor as a SICAN data set. And yeah, it's a good question about visualizations inside SICAN. So I'm not a CCAN expert. I'm curious if you can enable, for example, Vegalite visualizations. So Open Data Editor publishes everything already rendered, so it won't rely on any internals of your project. So, for example, for the story, it will be just HTML, but I think it's not possible currently to display arbitrary HTML in CCAN. I don't know, or ODCAN. And similarly, we can publish the glide chart as a part of dataset, but I'm not sure if CCAN can display the chart. So it's more like now I'm asking questions.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, well, part of it was also, is it kind of like you can push stuff into CCAN and then it's in CCAN and you would kind of take it from there on the CCAN side? Or could you, I mean, you sort of suggested that you could think of it as a UI, alternative UI for CCAN. So I'm just thinking like, is there a way I can like grab an item from my catalog, edit it, and then update it on CCAN? Or is it more of a one-way thing at the moment?
Currently, it works more like one way. So consider if you have a kind of like data project managed on GitHub on somewhere locally, you can be publishing it to CCAN or Zenodo using just splitting like data management and data publishing. But it's not yet implemented, but one of the main features we want to have an ability to open remote data sets. So you can work or like pooling, as you mentioned, or just exploring remote data sets as it's like you're on your machine locally.
Maybe just last thing, Johan asked if we are planning to have a web-based version or if it's always going to be an app. Can you hear me?
I can still hear you.
Oh,
Sure.
okay. Again, did you hear my question? Okay, I'm not sure about. Are we planning to have a web-based application as well?
Currently, no. I think because like we had a project, web-based project, Good Tables IO, and when it ended up not being like really to maintain this. So I think the only way to have a web-based version is if it will be kind of like a free paid service, as many other projects do. But currently we don't have plans for it, and if just having it as a kind of like only free service probably won't work based on our experience, because it requires like a lot of resourcing and I mean human resources, computing resources, and I think it needs to be then kind of like paid service to make it work. So currently no, the plan was to go that way initially, but we changed to desktop to to serve more non-technical people in some like organizations like libraries, museums.
Great, thanks, Evgeny. Okay, we are at the top of the hour, so I think that's it. The only thing that I wanted to announce is that the next community call is on the 26th of October, and we're going to discuss the version 2 of the frictionless specifications. So join us and write us also if you would like to be involved in that work. We would like very much for the review of the spec to be a community work. So get in the community chat if you're not there yet, and contact either me or Evgeny or Sassi if you would like to be involved in any way. I know that we've already talked about this several times, so I already know that some people here in this call already expressed their interest, but if you would like to join also, let me know. Thanks everyone. Thanks Evgeny again for the great presentation and for the demo. Please try the Open Data Editor and let us know what you think. We're really eager to get like feedback on that. So thanks again for everyone for joining and
thanks
for
everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care.